You ever hit that 3 p.m. slump and suddenly you're questioning every single decision you've ever made? Like, why did I even agree to go out? And also answer all my emails today. But yep, you've been there too. So let me put you on real quick to Bloom Supplements. As you get to know Fani, you will learn that I love a good supplement. Something to make me feel better and just really help my body feel good about itself when it's feeling like, nena, we are struggling and we need help bad. That's when I'm like, yo, I need a solution. Now, a homegirl introduced me to Bloom, and of course, the branding got me off rip. I'm a sucker for good branding. I'll say it over and over again. The greens, fire. The pre and probiotics got my gut feeling like it's on a yoga retreat. The energy drinks, I love the strawberry watermelon down, especially with a little sparkling water and fresh squeeze of lime. And since we're still getting to know each other, just so you know, I read all of the labels. It doesn't have any weird fillers, no fake nonsense, just plant-based magic that tastes good. And you know that's a blessing because I'm not gonna hold you. Some of these green powders and healthy drinks saben a puro ya tu sabes. But Bloom is that girl, and I love her. So if you're trying to glow up desde adentro pa' afuera, trust me, Bloom's got you. Head to bloomnu.com, BLOOMNU.com, and get you some. Because wellness should feel good and taste good, and Bloom does just that. It's time to lock in. Too long to listen starts now. Hola, hola, my good people. What is going on? Thank you for tuning into another episode of Too Long to Listen with me, your host, Fani Dominguez. If you're new here, this show is a podcast about podcasts. I listen to all of them just to help you find your new favorite shows. If you can hear the cookies in the background, you're welcome. This episode is coming to you live and direct from Puerto Rico during a hurricane. Yep, Hurricane Erin is making their way through the Caribbean and touring the eastern coast of the United States. We lost power pretty quickly in the early evening, and it's come and gone over the past few hours. The last hurricane scare I had to deal with was Hurricane Beryl from last year, but they aren't my first. I think the weirdest thing about hurricanes is there's only so much you can do to prepare for one. A lot of the time you sit around on high alert for something to happen, but also hoping it doesn't. I've experienced some of the craziest hurricanes, so I get crazy anxiety when it comes to them. You can never be too prepared in my book. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I remember as a kid having to sleep on the floor of a florist shop in Hialeah after Hurricane Andrew. When Wilma hit Broward after Katrina, I didn't even have access to my home for over a month. When it comes to Puerto Rico, everyone is still very sensitive about Maria. You can tell people are on edge when it comes to these storms, praying that they turn and show us grace. There's another storm on the way though, so I'll keep you updated in the next week's episode. Now, you already know I love me some good chisme, especially when it comes wrapped up in the glitter drama and chaos of reality TV. Today on Too Long to Listen, we're tapping into the wild world of podcasts that break it all down for us. Because sometimes watching the show just isn't enough. We need the hot takes, the behind-the-scenes tea, and the voices that make us laugh while dragging our faves. Think of it like the group chat after a messy episode, pero bigger, louder, and way more fun. And listen, we're not just skimming the surface. We're putting the spotlight on some dope shows that keep the reality TV conversation alive. Behind the Velvet Rope, serving insider gossip. Bravo, We're Black, giving us culture and comedy. 2 Black Girls, 1 Rose, breaking down reality dating chaos. Everyone's Business But Mine, keeping it raw and hilarious. And also, What's the Reality? So grab your cafecito, your matcha, or your bubble tea, get comfortable, and let's get into all the podcasts that make reality TV even juicier than what you see on the screen. Before we get into the episode, let's tap into a brand we love. As you may already know, most of us ethnic folks are lactose intolerant. We do not come from cows, so of course, naturally, regular milk is going to cause some issues for us. So when I found out about Ghost Town Oats, I instantly became a fan. Because you mean to tell me that we have an oat milk brand created by Black queer baristas, like on some FUBU energy, and its branding is pink? Instant cop, and after the first taste, I was sold for life. So much so that I even invested a little bit of my coins into the brands. It's exactly what I need for my cafecitos, my cereal in the morning, lo que sea, you name it, and I'm gonna make it with Ghost Town Oats. I even used it to make coquito for the holidays for my vegan and lactose intolerant friends, because they too deserve to enjoy our Boricua holiday traditions too. Supporting Ghost Town Oats is like putting your money where your values are, and I love that for me too, because I really don't have to question if the company I'm supporting aligns with what I'm about as a person. So next time you're at the coffee shop, ask for Ghost Town Oats. And if you need some for the crib, go to ghosttown.world and see how you too could be great with a pink carton of Ghost Town Oats. Opening thoughts for this week are a deep, deep breath. You know, being an adult is wild. Some days it's all about getting your life together, making money moves, and keeping your friendships alive. Other days, you're crying over a bag of chips while wondering how you even ended up here. And yet somehow we all keep showing up because that's what adulting is: surviving, improvising, and celebrating the small wins like it's the Soul Train Awards. I feel like one day we just need a manual to come out and just tell us what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to get there. But the reality is not everybody's journey is the same. So a manual wouldn't really be that helpful when you think about it. But adulting is hard. And I think about that more and more the older I get. And it's like it never stops being hard. But also, it does get easier. On the current event side of things, the world is messy as ever, and honestly, it's what we deserve. I saw that recently a woman was arrested at the airport for drugs. That, of course, sounds somewhat normal in today's society, but lady had all of the meth, paraphernalia, and everything in a bag that said, definitely not a bag full of drugs. People are something else, and so is reality TV drama that is, of course, peak content. Viral moments are absurd in the best way. And there's always something happening that makes you shake your head and laugh at humanity at the same time. Like, this is really where we are. Sometimes it's funny because it's funny. Sometimes it's funny because it's set like it shouldn't be funny, but it's funny. But this is the reality we've created for ourselves. And that's exactly the energy I love for this podcast, a mix of humor, chaos, and a little bit of truth. We laugh and we remind ourselves that nobody's adulting perfectly, and that's totally okay. Reality TV and podcasts are basically like soulmates. Like, one gives you the drama, the meltdowns, the wild storylines, and the other gives you the space to really break it all down. Laugh about it and call out the mess with your friends. Watching Real Housewives or 90 Day Fiancé is one thing, but hearing somebody dissect every side eye, every petty comment, every messy confessional, eso es otra cosa, and I am so here for it. Podcasts let us sit in the bochinche a little bit longer, keep the conversation going, and honestly, make us feel like we're part of the show too. Reality TV feeds the content, but podcasts, they give us the community. So let's get right into it. You know I'm always on the hunt for a podcast that feels like it's giving me more than just background noise, right? Like, I want substance with my shade, context with my cackles. And that's exactly what Kara delivers with her show, Everybody's Business But Mine. From the second you press play, you're like, oh, this is not just another recap. Kara's voice is sharp, it's funny, it's unfiltered, but most importantly, it's thoughtful. She takes all that messy pop culture we eat up, a Bravo drama, celebrity scandals, viral nonsense, and she turns it into something that makes you laugh and makes you think. I was scrolling on Threads, and someone asked for people to share reality TV podcasts. And I saw Kara's comment sharing her show. So, of course, yo de presenta went looking for her show to listen. After a few episodes, I knew Kara was her when it came to reality TV combos, and I would be tuning in more often. Now, what I love most about her is that she doesn't just sit there and list off what happened on last week's Housewives episode. No, no, no. She's out here dissecting, connecting dots, and pulling back the curtain. When a housewives feud breaks out, she's not just like, oh my God, did you see that drink throw? She's talking about the bigger picture, why those women act the way they do, the microaggressions at play, how the producers might be spinning it. And then she hits you with a joke that makes you spit out your sparkling ice. That balance, that's a skill. And not everyone has it, but Kara does. And let me tell you, she's honest, like brutally honest, but in the best way. She'll let you know when your fave is being corny or when a storyline is dead on arrival. But it never feels mean-spirited. It feels like your smart, hilarious friend telling you the truth. Because why waste time pretending? I actually can appreciate that a lot. We live in this media moment where everybody's trying to be diplomatic. But Kara, nah, she's going to give it to you straight, pero con sazón. Another thing I really vibe with is that she doesn't box herself in. Yes, the podcast is rooted in reality TV and pop culture, but she goes beyond that. One week, it might be Housewives. The next, she's breaking down a celebrity PR stunt or an apology tour that doesn't land. And she's always putting it in context, like reminding us of the patterns in how certain celebrities are treated, or pointing out when the public falls for the same media trick over and over and over again. She's not just giving you gossip. She's giving you media literacy while you're laughing your head off. And honestly, that's the kind of content we need right now. And I love her delivery. She has this way of keeping you hooked, whether it's her dragging a storyline for being lazy or laughing at the absurdity of a red carpet moment. Her humor is natural, is sharp, and it makes even the longest episodes feel like they fly by. You don't just listen, you feel like you're sitting in her living room, maybe sipping some wine, nodding, laughing, throwing in your own commentary. That intimacy, that vibe of we're in this together, that's podcast magic. So if you're someone who loves reality TV, but you also want more than just the play-by-play, everybody's business but mine should be at the top of your queue. Kara is not just recapping, she's elevating the conversation. She's calling out the BS, and she's reminding us why this messy, chaotic pop culture we love actually says so much about who we are. Episodes air pretty much daily and on average are like an hour long, so literally the perfect length. All right, now let's talk about a podcast that has become a staple in the reality TV world, Behind the Velvet Rope, hosted by David Yontef. Now, this show is not just recaps and it's not just commentary. This show is access. David has built a podcast that takes you directly into the rooms and conversations we all wish we could be in. He's sitting down with actual housewives, the Bravo celebrities, the pop culture figures we obsess over, and he's asking the questions we yell at the screen every time we're watching Watch What Happens Live. And because of that, Behind the Velvet Rope has become one of those shows where if you're a true reality TV fan, you simply cannot miss it. What I find fascinating about David's style is the way he blends energy with journalistic curiosity. Like, yes, David, he loves this world. Like, he's clearly a Bravoholic like the rest of us. But he's not afraid to push for answers. He'll press a guest on the feuds, on the scandals, on the behind-the-scenes mess we're dying to know about. And let's be real, this is what sets his podcast apart. A lot of shows either fangirl too hard or come in too cynical, but David strikes that balance, respectful enough to keep the tea flowing, but bold enough to get the real story. And the access? We're talking housewives, Vanderpump Rules cast members, celebrities from across the pop culture spectrum. It's like flipping through Us Weekly, but the pages talk back. David has cultivated relationships that get him interviews others can't even touch. They can't even touch David, okay? And when you're listening, you feel like you're part of an exclusive club, getting this peek behind the curtain, or better yet, behind the velvet rope. It's that VIP energy that makes you keep hitting next episode. Like you're gonna keep listening. If you're into this world, this show is for you. But here's the thing. David doesn't just rely on big names to carry the show. He knows how to steer a conversation so it's engaging from start to finish. When a guest starts giving a safe, media trained answer, David has this way of poking just enough to get a real reaction. And when that happens, he lets it flow. And that's a skill because not everyone can handle a high profile interview without either freezing up or losing control of the conversation. David knows his role. He's the guide, the instigator, the one making sure the stories come out. And I'll be honest, part of what makes Behind the Velvet Rope so fun is that it leans into the drama. This is not a show pretending that reality TV is high art. It embraces the mess. But what I appreciate is that it doesn't stop there. David also lets his guests share the human side, the career struggles, the lessons learned. 1 minute, you're hearing like the hottest bit of gossip. And then the next, you're hearing a really honest reflection on fame, on mistake, on growth. That mix keeps the podcast from ever feeling one-dimensional. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't just watch reality TV, but wants to literally live inside it, Behind the Velvet Rope is absolutely for you. David is your backstage pass, your insider connection, your ticket to conversations that shape Bravo culture and beyond. It's entertaining, it's juicy, and it's essential listening if you want to stay ahead of the curve. Episodes also drop daily for Behind the Velvet Rope and average about an hour as well. I love the shows that know how to keep it cute for me when it comes to how long their episodes are. Thanks, David. Ahora, mi gente, let's get into one of my absolute favorites in the Bravo podcast space, Bravo, We're Black, hosted by Aaron Marcellus and Kaya Wilson. Now, when I tell you this show brings life, it brings life. Aaron and Kaya have created a space that is equal parts hilarious, insightful, and necessary because let's be real, so much of Bravo podcast has historically been very one note, very one perspective. Bravo, we're black lips that completely by centering Black voices and experiences, and the result is commentary that feels fresh, sharp, and unapologetically real. From the jump, you can tell that this podcast is made by people who love reality TV, but also aren't afraid to call it out. The hosts break down housewives drama, Vanderpump mess, summer house chaos, all the Bravo staples we eat up every week. But they do it through a lens that reminds us of the bigger cultural context. When they talk about microaggressions on Housewives of New York or how producers frame certain storylines around Black cast members, it's not just gossip, it's analysis. And they do it with humor so sharp, you'll be laughing while also snapping your fingers in agreement like, yes, exactly that. And let me say, I love the chemistry between Aaron and Kaya. Like, they bounce off each other with ease and they know how to roast, uplift, and tag team a conversation. And I think that's key for podcast hosts. Their banter is half the joy. You'll be cracking up 1 minute at some offhand joke and the next you're like, wait, why did nobody else catch this? That's the gift they have, making you feel like you're sitting on the couch with them, glass of wine in hands, talking your mess while also breaking down the deeper issues. And what's important about Bravo, We're Black is that it's filling a gap in the podcast landscape. Too often, reality TV is talked about in ways that erase or downplay the Black experience on screen. And these two don't let that slide like some of them other podcasts out there. And I'm not going to mention names, but there are a few. They make space for conversations about representation, stereotype, and editing bias. And they do it in a way that's accessible, never preachy, always rooted in love for the genre. It's like, we're fans, but also we're critical thinkers. And if something needs to get called out, that's exactly what the fuck we're gonna do. And honestly, that combination makes the commentary richer than anything you'll find in mainstream Bravo coverage. And y'all know I love a podcast that can make me laugh, and this one delivers every single time. Erin and Kaya have that natural comedic rhythm that you just can't fake. They'll take a ridiculous moment from Housewives, they'll turn it into a whole riff that makes you feel like you're listening to stand-up. But the next minute, they're dropping a point so real, you pause and you're like, damn, I didn't even think of it like that. And you really can't teach that type of balance. So if you want a podcast that loves Bravo, but refuses to ignore the elephant in the room, if you want commentary that's spicy, thoughtful, and rooted in lived experience, Bravo, We're Black is it. It's not just a recap show, it's a cultural conversation. They remind us that reality TV is not only entertaining, it's political, it's personal, and it's worth talking about with honesty and humor. This is a podcast that makes you laugh, makes you think, and makes you feel seen all at once. Episodes are dropped semi-weekly and they're about an hour long on average. Up next, let's talk about a podcast that truly shifted the way we look at reality dating shows, especially the juggernaut that is Two Black Girls, One Rose, hosted by Natasha Scott, Rachel, I think that's how you say it, and Justine K. Now, when this podcast came onto the scene, it was a game changer because for so long, The Bachelor and shows like it were being recapped and analyzed almost exclusively through one lens. Natasha and Justine said, nah, we're going to watch this mess, but we're going to do it from the perspective of two Black women who have opinions, who see through the nonsense, and who are not afraid to call it like it is. And the results? A recap podcast that's not just entertaining, it's revolutionary. Yes, I'm using those words. What's amazing about Two Black Girls, One Rose is that it's hilarious, smart. It's hilarious and smart at the same time. Natasha and Justine go into these episodes with the sharpest commentary, but they always keep it fun. They'll roast a contestant for being corny one second, and then the next, they'll break down how the franchise perpetuates harmful tropes about race, gender, or relationships. It's that mix of humor and cultural critique that makes them so essential in this space. You're laughing along with them, but you're also learning, reflecting, and realizing just how much representation matters in reality TV as well. And their banter is quick, natural, and so full of joy. Even when they're dragging someone for filth, you can feel the love they have for each other and for the community they've built around this podcast. And that community is strong. They've cultivated listeners who come for the recaps, but stay because they finally feel like someone is saying what they've been thinking all along. They take the narrative back into their own hands, shining a light on how these dating shows reflect broader societal biases while still finding ways to enjoy the guilty pleasure of it all. That balance, the joy and the critique, is something few podcasts get right, but these two, they nail it every single time. And let's be real, because when they go in, they go in. Their recaps are full of side comments and plenty of shade, but also laughs that make you feel like you're sitting it on a late night convo with your funniest, smartest friends. They're not afraid to get a little messy, but it's always rooted in love for each other, for their audience, and yes, even for this wild, problematic franchise. That authenticity, that realness is why their podcast resonates so deeply. If you're tired of the same old Bachelor Nation takes, the tired Love is Blind commentary, the skewed POVs of Love Island convos, and you want commentary that reflects your perspective, Two Black Girls, One Rose is essential listening. Natasha and Justine aren't just talking about roses and one-on-ones. They're talking about the bigger picture, about visibility, and what it means to watch these shows as Black women in America. Episodes are about an hour to an hour and a half and drop weekly. Ahora, let's get into a podcast that's fresh, fun, and unapologetically real. What's the Reality? Hosted by my girl AD from season 6 of Love is Blind. Now, first of all, if you know AD, you know she brings energy, humor, and straight up honesty wherever she goes. And that vibe carries right into this podcast. AD is taking her experience in the reality TV world and turning it into commentary that's as relatable as it's entertaining. You press play, and immediately you're like, oh, this is different. It's not just a recap. It's a whole conversation about reality TV and what it really does to us. What makes AD's show so engaging is her perspective. She's literally been in the trenches of reality dating shows, so she knows the game, the editing tricks, and the emotional roller coaster that comes with it. But she also knows how to connect with her listeners in a way that feels intimate and real. When AD talks about a contestant's moves, a franchise twist, or a jaw-dropping moment, she's not just giving her opinion, she's breaking it down, explaining the why behind the drama, and making it accessible for fans who live in the gossip but also want the insight. And let me just say, my girl holds her own too. AD knows how to roast just enough without ever feeling mean-spirited. She'll take a ridiculous comment from Love is Blind or another reality show and turn it into comedy golds, all while sprinkling in reflections on relationships, social dynamics, and just plain life lessons she's learned along the way. That balance between laughs and real talk is what keeps you hooked. Something else that I love about What's the Reality is AD's energy with her guests. She brings in cast members, former reality stars, and even fellow commentators. And her interviews always feel lively and unscripted. There's no pretense, forced professionalism, just real convos that give you insider perspective, even the perspective that you didn't even know you wanted. And because she's been part of the reality ecosystem herself, the guests are relaxed, open, and hilarious, which makes for some truly memorable episodes. So if you love reality dating shows like me, because I'm addicted, please don't get me started. Love is Blind, on it. Ultimatum, on it. 90 Day Fiancé, on it. 90 Day Fiancé the other way, on it. All of them shows. Love Island, don't play with me. I'm about to watch all the UK ones now. I love these shows. And if you love insider stories, if you just love a podcast that's equal parts laughter and insight, What's the Reality is a must-add to your rotation. So there you have it, my people. 5 reality TV podcasts you absolutely need in your rotation. From insider access to cultural commentary, from Bravo chaos to Netflix dating drama, these shows bring the laughs and the insight. Whether you're a casual watcher or a full-blown superfan, there's something here for everybody. But before we get ready to close out this week, let me tell you about a brand that I love. Listen, I do not play when it comes to protecting my hair, okay? Whether I'm rocking fresh curls or a new set of braids, my Saint Cayman eye bonnets is part of my nighttime routine along with the skincares. Once I'm ready for Betty, I pull down the built-in eye mask and tuck in. I've been using their bonnets for at least a year, and let me tell you, these aren't your regular decorative beauty supply bonnets. Baby, the quality, luxury. The fit, secure, but never too tight because you can adjust it. It stays in place even when I'm tossing and turning around in my sleep. But I don't just use it to go to bed. I also use it on the plane too. Baby, I pull out my eye bonnet and pull down the eye mask like I'm sitting in first class, even if I'm really in 22A. So whether you sleep well, travel often, or just want your hair to stop breaking up with you, head over to stcayman.com and let them know Fani sent you by using code FANIThePlug for little discounts, and your hair will say thank you. All right, so for today's episode, we are skipping Too Long Didn't Listen. And the reason why I'm skipping that is because I want to deep dive a little bit more on some of these reality TV shows. I think that one of the biggest problems that we have is that we've had this conversation before. Everybody has a podcast, and not everybody needs a podcast, but like there's no code of ethics or just like morals when it comes to podcasts. Like there was a moment on the Joe Budden podcast where Mark Lamont Hill was expressing that literally all of his colleagues in journalism in Gaza have been killed. And because it was an uncomfortable conversation or moment, or the rest of the team didn't know how to segue into the next segment, they kind of made it a laughing matter. And it's just like, there used to be some sort of decorum that existed on radio and talk shows. And I feel like even no matter how messy those talk shows were, we still were somewhat respectful to each other that we interacted with. So I think definitely I would like to have a deeper conversation on something like that. We're also not going to do our mic drop of the week or Fani's faves or what would Fani do this week. because we didn't get no questions and I want to make sure it's genuine. I'm not about to be over here inventando, making up questions just to give y'all an answer. And then for Fanny's faves, honestly, I'm going to say my gold bangles. Gold bangles are my favorite accessory. I don't really go anywhere without my gold bangles. I feel like they're a part of me and who I am. And it's just, I guess, yeah, that's Fanny's fave this week. Gold bangles. Adorn yourself. Make yourself feel good. Put that shit on and turn the fuck up. Today's episode should have given you at least 1 or 5 new favorite shows to listen to. Thank you so much for tuning in. On next week's episode, get ready to hear about a few audibly pleasing podcasts that focus on ASMR. I don't know about you, but I love certain aspects of ASMR. I genuinely love a good whisper, but not all ASMR is good ASMR. And I'm going to connect you with the ones that are worthy of your time. Please like, comment, share, give us 5 stars on all the platforms. Leave me some comments, hit me up in the DMs. Let me know what you think of the episodes. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, whatever. As always, if something in here moved you, send it to your group chat, hit me up on socials. Again, let me know what you're listening to, because at the end of the day, the only way we really learn is by listening. Muchísimas gracias, mi gente. Lo quiero mucho. I appreciate you for giving me your time. I really do. Always, I'll say it over and over and again. Hasta la semana que viene. Besitos y bendiciones. Love, Fanny.